soldiers have fought for our freedom even before the U.S. became a country. And today, the U.S. Army celebrated its 243rd birthday in front of one of the oldest historical landmarks in the country, our Alamo. Eyewitness News reporter Adi Guajardo was there.
But our Army has stood ready to serve our country for the last 243 years, and our soldiers stand ready today.
Soldiers, veterans, and everyday Americans came together in front of the Alamo to honor and celebrate the 243rd birthday of the nation's oldest military branch to fight for the United States.
We have 180,000 soldiers deployed in 140 countries across the world.
A service that keeps thriving.
Raise your right hand.
Today, with the Texas flag rippling high in the sky, 10 new soldiers were sworn into service.
Do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies.
So we also had the youngest soldier. He was 17 years old.
And one of the oldest Army veterans. 2 generations, 1 mission, peace and freedom. Both sharing a sweet slice of the American flag.
Them two fed each other, showing that it's a big family.
Army Captain Harold Castaneda joined the force more than 2 decades ago.
Many people think it's just walking around with a rifle and going into combat. I've also had many educational benefits. Achieved my bachelor's, my master's degree I'm working on right now.
He says it's more than just a service, it's a career that protects and contributes to the community.
If you happen to run into a soldier today, let them know happy birthday, because it's the Army's birthday, and thank them for their service.
Adi Guajardo, KENS 5 Eyewitness News.